We go into unit number 18 on page 378. The state will ask you questions here on the characteristics of group insurance. Let's read the first paragraph. It says, the group contract. While individual insurance policies insure one person, group insurance policy may cover many people under one contract. Highlight the rest of this paragraph. That reduces the plan cost and lowers the premiums. Group insurance premiums are less than individual coverage. That last sentence I read is a state exam question and answer. Why? Remember, we have expense loading. That's the insurance companies. They load their expenses onto each and every policy, like your and I, our commissions, the underwriter's expenses, administration expenses, rent, mortgage, lights, taxes. All of these things are loaded onto the policies. It's called expense loading. And again, if you have an individual policy, all of the expense loading is loaded on that one policy. Or we have a group contract. Let's say we have 500 people on it. Those 500 people share all the expense loading. That makes group insurance cheaper, less than an individual policy. That is probably a state exam question and answer. Go down to certificate of coverage. The state may ask you about the certificate. Remember, the certificate of coverage is known as a COI, Certificate of Insurance, also known as EOI, or Evidence of Insurance. Let's read the next paragraph. The individual members covered by the group plan are not parties to the group insurance contract, and they have no authority to make the decisions regarding the plan. Highlight the rest of this sentence. Members receive a certificate of coverage that provides evidence of coverage, who is covered by the plan, and summarizes the benefits. Remember, earlier we talked about group insurance is a third-party contract. Why? Because the applicant is probably the employer. That's the first party, the policyholder. They fill out an application and submit money to the insurance company, the principal, the second party in this contract. And we do it for the benefit of the third party, the employees. The employees cannot change anything about the policy. Why? Because the employer, the master policy holder, they control it. And the employees simply get a certificate, an evidence of coverage. They simply get a letter saying this is what they have. They cannot change anything about that policy. Why? Because the benefit is to them. Let's keep reading. We go down to experience rating versus community rating. Highlight this next paragraph. I believe there are 1 or 2 state exam questions here. Put an asterisk here. In general, the premium cost for group insurance is based on experience rating, underlying experience rating, a method of establishing the premium on the group's previous claims experience. The larger and the more homogeneous the similar the group, the closer it comes to reflecting the standard mortality and the morbidity rates. In your book, next to mortality, add the word deaths. That's what mortality means. Next to the word morbidity, please write down the word health insurance or disability insurance, the likelihood of someone being hurt on the job during their working years. So I believe the state's going to ask you about mortality, that's the rate for death, and morbidity is for health insurance, and that is for being disabled while you're in your working years. On page 379, we go into the types of eligible groups. Highlight this whole paragraph. I believe there are 1 or 2 state exam questions here. Put an asterisk here. The general eligibility rule is the group must have been formed for a purpose other than obtaining insurance for its members. This defines a natural group. That is a state exam question. So what they're saying is this. If we all come together, let's say we're all going to go work down at, say, McDonald's or Jack in the Box, something like that. We came together to work. We're employees, and we have no relationship to each other. We would be a natural group. The state might try to trick you here and ask you about what is a natural group. A natural group is not a family. Mom and dad, and let's say they have 5 or 6 kids. A natural group is not a family, because that could be an adverse selection against the insurance companies, and they will not allow a family to be a group. It's not a natural group. So the state might ask you some concept questions here. Let's keep reading. The insurance plan must be incidental to the group rather than its primary reason for being. That is possibly another state exam question and answer. Let's go down to So notice on these bullets down here that we can form these groups, whether it's by a union or by different types of trades associations where they come together to form a group. And remember, we have to come together and it has to be a natural group. Remember, it's not a family. On page 381, we go into the employer group health insurance on the underwriting criteria. And on page 381, these bullets, please highlight all of these bullets. I believe there are state exam possible questions here. First bullet, highlight. Size of the group. Larger groups can more likely avoid adverse selection. Here's a state exam question. The state's going to make sure you know the difference between a small group and a large group. Underline, small group is 2 to 50 people. That is a state exam question and answer. The next one, large groups are 51 or more lives. Underline that. That is a second state exam question and answer. The state is going to make sure you know the difference between a small group and a large group. The next one, highlight everything in composition of the group. Ages, sex, and income of the members of the group will affect the potential benefits that will be paid. Highlight the next one. Flow of members through the group. Individuals joining and leaving the group on a regular basis reduce the risk of adverse selection. Plan design is what will be covered and for how much. Highlight everything in the next bullet, put an asterisk here. You've seen this before in the course. The state will ask you questions, the difference between contributory and non-contributory. Highlight everything here, put an asterisk here. You could be asked this question 2 or 3 times on your state exam. Highlight. Contributory or non-contributory. Employees pay part of the cost in a contributory plan and at least 75%, underline 75% of those eligible must participate in the plan. The employer pays the entire cost in a non-contributory plan, and 100% of the eligible employees must participate. So again, non-contributory, underline that, underline 100%. The state will ask you these questions. Now, if you've taken the life section of this course, you've seen this before too. So again, keep your answer the same. We're in group insurance. We have many common things with group insurance. It's just that the policies or the contracts have changed, but the features of group insurance remain the same. Remember, contributory means that your employer found a group health insurance plan. Let's say it's an awesome plan, but the company cannot quite afford the entire thing. They're going to ask for the employee's help in purchasing this policy. So that makes it a contributory plan because the employees contribute to the plan with their wages, their money, and the employer needs 75% of that group to help pay for that plan. A non-contributory means that the employer found a plan and they're willing to pay the entire cost, 100%. And if the employer's paying 100% of this cost, they must cover 100% of the employees. The state may be mean here, and they may try to trick you with contributory and non-contributory, with participating and non-participating. Do not let the state confuse you here. You know contributory means that I'm going to help pay for this, and non-contributory means the employer is going to pay for this plan 100%, and they must cover 100% of their employees. This is how the state is going to mess with you on your state exam, right here on contributory versus non-contributory and participating and non-participating.